If you recently lost your job and your health coverage due to the COVID-19 pandemic and you think you may be eligible for Medicare, you probably have more questions than answers right now. Statewide Insurers Group, All Things Medicare, can help you with that. We can provide the guidance and the answers that you need to get the benefits you may be eligible for. Don't let this time of uncertainty jeopardize your eligibility for your Medicare benefits. Remember, relationships matter. Call Statewide Insurers Group today for the answers that you need now. 316-8166.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.
And good morning and welcome to the K-Files. Linda and myself again this morning, and we'll start off as we normally do, thanking our sponsors. We want to thank Barnes Safety. I'll tell you, he came on and told you how important it was to get your concealed carry. Please do. Yeah, and we want to thank him for the sponsorship, and Statewide Insurers Group as well sponsors this program, so thank you for that.
I like to tell people that I live with my cats and dogs and my Mossberg shotgun, but Barnes has inspired me to go. I'm in the process of purchasing a pistol.
Right.
And I'm gonna take the class, and I'm gonna be strapped.
You gonna take it? Oh, we're gonna go film it. We're gonna go film you taking it.
When, people better.
Oh Lord, watch out.
I've had enough death threats over the years. The Hells Angels have.
You needed to do this years ago.
I know. I don't know. I never. People tell me that all the time. I've had a lot of cops tell me that, like, look, you need to take these threats seriously. But I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to. I just separate really easily what I do to my personal life.
Right.
And I don't know. Maybe one day that'll come back to bite me. But I mean, I don't know.
Well, we hope not.
I have had. The Hells Angels were not happy with me 2 different occasions. I had a guy that was in a DWI. On New Year's Eve, he decided that he was going to go buy some drugs with his daughter in the car. He was drunk, and he flipped the car, and she fell out of the car and got her arm chopped off.
Awful. And
I wrote that story, and somehow I became the bad guy in the whole thing. And he comes to the newspaper and he's like, "How about I rip your daughter's arm off?" And the scary thing about that was like, I mean, how do you even knew, that I had a daughter?
Oh, that is kind of eerie.
That was one of the things that led me to be done with social media after that.
Yeah.
But then I do have the Facebook page for the show.
Yeah.
Because I think people ought to.
Yeah,
I'm trying
that's been a good thing.
But I used to just put it all out there on social media, back in, I think I quit in 2012.
Right.
But from 2000, whenever Facebook come out, from 2009 or whatever to 2012, I just put it all on there. Pictures of my kids and all that stuff. And can't really be doing that when
It can be scary.
people
It
be
can
out there.
get scary for people
Or as
to do.
never mind. I used to work with a sheriff that always got everything mixed up, and he used to always call it what was it? My Face and Spacebook. So, of course, that is a reference to MySpace, which doesn't exist anymore. I don't think it does.
Right.
All right,
What are we
so
talking about today?
Clarence Jenkins, we've mentioned him before.
Yes.
He's Army veteran in Tarboro. He was in the Army. His nickname was Shorty. He's 48 years old in 2006, right? Okay, so he for a while I couldn't figure out why at 48 years old he was in an assisted living facility, but then I finally figured it out. He had an operation on his hip, and he had like a metal rod in his right hip.
Right.
So he didn't get he was permanently retired, medically retired.
So was he permanently in an assisted living,
Yeah,
or was it just for the time
Well,
being?
no, he was there.
He was there
I mean, he
permanently.
wasn't. Though he could have left when he wanted to.
Yeah,
but, I mean,
yeah,
he
you
had
can.
He had the money and whatnot to live there, and it was a come and go. It was.
Right.
My father used to stay in one. Unfortunately, we've had to move him to a more serious nursing home. He's 92 or 3 years old, but I mean, he was where he could come and go.
Right.
And some of these places, I mean, I've been to the place in Tarboro. It's called Brithaven. I mean, it's really nice.
Yeah.
It's like a
Oh, yeah.
hotel. It's like a hotel with
Yeah.
nurses.
It's nice.
So he could come and go as he wanted to, and that's where we were at. That's where we're at now. So in 2006. Clarence Jenkins is 48 years old. He's living at Brithaven. He could come and go as he wanted to. He did a lot of walking. He would walk around town. He would walk to different places or whatever. I mean, he was free to come and go as he wanted to. That's Brithaven right there on that map. I mean, I'm gonna see if I got my eyeballs. Oh yeah, people can see that. So. That's what they call Western Boulevard there in Tarboro. Where the red dot is, folks, that's Brithaven. So that's the town of Tarboro, that's Brithaven. So he left there on foot in March of 2006, and he was seen all over Tarboro that day. I mean, people saw him all day, different places, talking to people. I mean, he got around and everything. Okay, so he was last seen in the area of Spite Avenue and Fountain Street, right? So, again, I cannot see. I mean, I'm talking about without my glasses.
Without your glasses. Well,
Right.
put your glasses on.
All right, I got them on. All right, so right in this area, you see where Fountain Street is,
Yes,
you see where
Fountain
Spite
Street.
Avenue is, right in that little area right there. I'm not exactly sure where, but somewhere between Fountain Street and Spite Avenue. A Tarboro police officer saw him and spoke to him at 3:30 that afternoon. Hey, Mr. Jenkins, how you doing?
So they all knew who he was.
Right,
I mean,
yeah,
he was
exactly.
Yeah.
So he said, "Hey, Mr. Jenkins, how you doing?" He's like, "Fine. I'm, heading over to a friend's house." Right. That's the last time anybody ever saw him. Right?
Gosh.
So right. So, and that's 2 miles. I want people to see that little blue line is Brithaven at the top, and where he was last seen at the bottom. That's 2 miles. I mean, that's a pretty good distance.
Walking, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
So I mean, people do it all the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a pretty good distance to be walking away from Brithaven all the way down to there. Now, it's possible that he got a lot closer back toward Brithaven, right? Because he needed dialysis. He had kidney problems, right? And he carried a blue dialysis bag. You know what I'm talking about? Those little blue medical bags. And they found that blue medical bag and his Social Security card, right? They found it near a pond that's close to Brithaven. So
Oh,
that's
really?
all. That's it. That's all, any evidence of Mr. Jenkins.
So they found his bag.
They found his dialysis bag and his Social Security card 7/10 of a mile from Brithaven, right?
Wow.
So, you know, I mean, it's like, what happened to him? You know, I thought maybe he was in the pond, but the authorities said that, you know, they searched that pond.
I'm sure they
So
drug
searched
the
all
pond.
around the area.
Yeah.
I mean, they had groups went out, you know, how they do with missing people. They go out hand to hand,
Right.
searching everywhere. Just nowhere to be found in that area, you know,
Isn't that
until
something?
someone finds him. The family, I was talking to his family the other day, and they gave me this picture of him back when he was in the Army. Brittany, show them that picture of Mr. Jenkins in the Army. I just want people to see, you know, I mean, he was a, Brittany, there you go. You know, he's a handsome young man in the Army.
he
You know,
is.
so he,
Yeah.
you know, he had a life. You know, he had a going on. Of course, you know, the picture that we showed in the beginning, he's a little bit aged, more aged, but he also, I think, was a little older. You know, what's that old saying about it's the mileage, not
Yes.
the years. You know, so I think
Yes.
between the kidney problems and the hip problems and all that stuff, I mean,
Right.
you know, he was aged faster probably than normal. So, you know, the thing that was sad to me was I found a newspaper article in the Southerner. That was Tarborough's paper. That paper had been around 200-something years. It closed its doors.
It closed, and that was sad, but it had
But
been
the
around a long
headline
time.
says, if folks, I'm going to hold this up.
And
real
what
quick.
year was this that
This
he
was
went missing now?
2006 that he went missing. Here's a newspaper
okay.
article right here. I know you probably can't see it, but it says, mother feels son must be dead by now, right?
Right.
So that was in 2010 that article was in the Southerner. So I talked to the family. I talked to the mother. I think 2016 I talked to her. And, you know, and she was saying that we hear it a lot. We talked about it in the Linda Lawrence case, that you know, the parents just want to find their child and bury them, take care of them before they die themselves.
Right.
Well, his mother died in August of 2019. So she never got that chance, right? So she's gone. She never knew what happened to her son. So, you know, he's missing, or he's dead somewhere, but it'd be nice to know where.
Yeah, did somebody get him? I mean,
And that's,
I mean,
the Tarboro Police Department has not ruled out foul play, right? Because, I mean, you just don't know. I mean, I probably in the beginning they thought that he died somewhere along the way and they would find him. But, I mean, all these years
if they
later,
didn't find him,
from
that's
2006 to now. And the reason why I'm talking about him today, the family contacted me a couple weeks ago and asked me to do something again, but the reason why is because he went missing on March 12th of 2006. So that's this week.
Right.
But his birthday
Kind of an
was
anniversary.
right. His birthday was on March 13th.
Oh, wow.
So he went missing the day before his birthday. You know, and like I said, people really didn't miss him until that was on like a Friday afternoon. People didn't really get scared of where he was at until, that was a Sunday afternoon. He had dialysis Monday morning, and you can't live more than 12 hours without this, right? So he had it scheduled for Monday morning, and he never showed up. And that's when people started wondering, you know, where is he at? What's wrong with him?
Wow.
So, again, there's no doubt that he's dead because he had the stent in his chest, and he had to have the dialysis, like cleaning of the kidneys or whatever. They run the blood through the machine because your kidneys ain't working, so they run the blood through your machine. So without getting that every few days, he's dead, right? It's just like the Carl Butler case, but a lot more serious. I mean, Butler had some medical operations and whatnot.
Absolutely, just like that.
But Mr. Jenkins, Sergeant Jenkins, had it to where he was not going to survive more than a day or so. So he's dead somewhere. We'd like to, you know, the family would really not know where. His
there's
family's
so
from
many
Virginia.
times that, you know, we keep repeating all these cases where families just do not have closure. I mean, they're out there wondering every day, where is my loved one?
Right, absolutely. He had friends in Rocky Mount, Fayetteville, Virginia. You know, there's no indication that he contacted any of these folks or went to any of those places after March 12, 2006. So he's dead somewhere in Tarboro.
That is,
you know.
wild.
One thing that they investigated, I didn't know that this was still happening in 2006, but some people thought maybe he got on the train. Apparently the train station in Tarboro was still open in 2006. It's since been closed.
Oh.
But I mean, it's kind of an aside, but it's just neat that you could have got on a train in Tarboro and taken a ride to Raleigh for the day and come back. I mean, I think that's pretty neat. They do it up north all the time. I mean, people commute, you know, all the time or whatever. But there was a thought maybe that he got on the train because he had done it before.
But he had to know that he had to have his dialysis.
Right.
I mean, why would he get on the train?
Well, he didn't get on the train. You know, that's what I mean. That's just something I think that people thought. But you're right. There was sadly at this point the best case scenario is that they find a body in the woods somewhere and he just died naturally, and they'll find him one day. Worst case scenario is that something did happen to him,
right?
And somebody disposed of his body. You know, so
406-6736. If anybody knows anything, if you even saw him that day, they'd like to know.
So he will have when they find a body in the Tarboro area, the first thing they need to be looking for is that even as a skeleton, there'll be that dialysis stent where the chest would be, and there'd be that metal pin in his right hip. So I mean, sadly, this is one of those. I mean, there's little hope and no hope, right?
Right.
I mean, you know, but like you said, if you know something about Mr. Jenkins, please give the number a phone call.
Yes, please do. There's got to be somebody that saw him that day, and any information you have is not too small.
Right.
I mean, anything you can offer could be the smallest thing could lead the police, the law enforcement, to what they need. So anyway, please don't hesitate to call the hotline. We have in our kitty up to $15,000 that we will pay, up to $15,000. So please know that you will get a reward.
Absolutely.
So, okay, we're going to go to break. Come back with Sergeant Tender right after this.
If you recently lost your job and your health coverage due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and you think you may be eligible for Medicare, you probably have more questions than answers right now. Statewide Insurers Group, All Things Medicare, can help you with that. We can provide the guidance and the answers that you need to get the benefits you may be eligible for. Don't let this time of uncertainty jeopardize your eligibility for your Medicare benefits. Remember, relationships matter. Call Statewide Insurers Group today for the answers that you need now. 316-8166.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.
Hello, folks. This is Sergeant Tender with the Edgecombe County Sheriff's Office. Kind enough to come back and join us. You're going to do this on a monthly basis.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us.
Yes, absolutely. Edgecombe County does not have a whole lot of unsolved murders, so we got to talk about different stuff.
Yes, sir.
And I have decided that we were talking about that a couple months ago. What
Yes,
are we
sir.
going to talk about? And you said that you also, besides homicide investigations, you also handle sex offenders.
Yes, sir.
And I said, well, I can't think of a better way to spend our time and do something for the community than talk about sex offenders. So you've got 3 of them that you're looking for.
Yes,
right?
sir. I have 3 right now that are wanted for
All right.
violation of the registry.
Okay, folks, so here's what the deal is. When you're convicted of a sex crime in North Carolina, you have to register
Yes,
as a
sir.
sex offender. That
Yes, sir.
way, the law enforcement knows where you're at.
Right.
Presumably, so when there's when a little girl turns up dead in the neighborhood, you know who to talk to first.
Right.
So by law, these folks have to. The people that we're talking about have been convicted of a crime.
Yes, sir, they have.
And they have been ordered by the state to register, and part of that is they have to tell y'all where their address is at all times, right?
Yes, sir.
So if they move from 1st Street to 2nd Street, they're supposed to come by and tell y'all, I moved here.
Right,
So
within
you know
3
that-
business days.
Oh, within 3
That's
business
all they
days.
have is 3 business days to notify.
Well, I mean, when you're a registered sex offender, you don't have a lot of choice, a lot of freedom in the matter. So you got 3 of them, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, she's going to put up the pictures as we talk about these gentlemen.
Vaughn Smith. He's been charged before. He was actually released from jail and walked right by the sheriff's office, and I've never seen him again. And even when they're released from the detention center or a prison, they're required within 3 business days to notify me of their new address. He did not do that, and that's why I've got a warrant for failing to notify change of address.
Right, he's
on this subject.
Gotcha. He's 41 years old.
Yes, sir.
I did some math, and he was convicted of in 2017 of indecent liberties with a minor. The victim was 15 years old.
Yes, sir.
And he was 37 at
Yes,
the time.
sir.
So I'm just throwing that out there for folks. If you know where this cat is, give us a call and we'll let the sheriff's office know and they can get him properly. Now, what happens when someone fails to register? Obviously, you're going to not register, but fails to give you your address. Obviously, once you get your hands on them, you're going to get their address.
Yes, sir.
But what else? I mean, is that a crime?
Yes, sir. It's a Class F felony in the state of North Carolina to fail to register.
Oof.
So they are being charged with a felony every time they do not register their address with the sheriff's office.
And they know. I'm not picking on Mr. Smith, but I mean they know the rules.
Yes, they
You know
are
what I mean,
given
they're
a
in and out of the
packet.
system. They know what the rules are.
Yes, sir. When they register, they're given a packet telling them what their rules and requirements are as a sex offender.
So when they don't register, it kind of makes you wonder
Why?
why. Yeah. Okay. All right. Who we got next?
This is Mr. Kenneth Cook. He's also one that has been several times arrested for this charge. I've actually caught him out of state before, so he's run to Virginia to skirt the system.
Wow. Well, he's from New Hampshire, right?
Yes, sir,
So-
he is.
Okay. The last place I saw where he lived was Cokie Road. I guess he don't live there no more.
No, sir, he does not. That's where he absconded from. That's where his last known address.
Right. And he has a lot of, Mr. Cook has a lot of tattoos.
Yes, he does. He has one under his right eye.
Yeah. What is that?
It looks like maybe
The thing says teardrop, but that looks a little big for a.
a bird, it looks like to
Yeah.
me.
Okay, so he's got spiders. He's got a Black Panther. I like the Black Panther. He's got a Black Panther on his back. He's got head of a cat on his arm. I mean, you know, you're not gonna miss this fella.
No.
So, all right. So, that's Mr. Cook. If you know where this fella is, give us a call, and then we got one more.
Yes, sir. This is Mr. Cordell Bryant. He's also on the registry. He was required to notify the sheriff's office within 3 business days. He has not done that. Every 6 months, a sex offender gets a letter in the mail that they have to bring to the sheriff's office in person. And he was charged with that for not bringing his letter back after being notified.
And so that's a way to make sure that he's living.
Yes,
that
sir.
he's getting mail, living where they
Yes,
say
sir.
he's living at. Okay, so, and he's also a probation absconder.
Yes,
right?
he is.
So he took off from probation in September, And according to paperwork, he was convicted in 2014 of sexual battery.
Yes, sir.
So, and I dug, Brittany put this picture was from 2015. That's what he looks like now.
Yes.
I mean, I had to check 3 or 4 times to make sure that was the same
Right.
fella, because that's a little different from 2015 to now. But I wanted folks to see what he looked like
Yes,
now.
sir.
So anyway, if you folks, if you know any of these 3 individuals or you know where they're at, give us a call. We'll pass the information right along to y'all. You know, again, this is I consider this to be a community service. You know, to try to get find out where these folks are and,
Yes, sir.
and get
Helps
them
us.
because they need. Because I mean, the law. You know, I mean, it was set up for a reason. That y'all need to know where they're at.
Right.
And they've had plenty of due process.
Yes,
You know
sir,
what I
they
mean?
have.
I mean, they're not. I mean, these are folks that have been convicted of a crime. These are folks that have been registered with the North Carolina.
For a while.
What is the technical term for that?
It's
The sexual.
North Carolina Sex Offender Registry.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, it's they've had their due process,
Right.
and now they're just not doing what they're supposed to do.
Right.
To keep everybody safe. And I think you know, I mean, I think folks would like to know who's in their neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
And especially people that are in their neighborhood, but we don't know where they live at.
They're not allowed to be within 1,000 foot of a school or a daycare. They cannot live within 1,000 foot of a school or daycare.
Well, that's good.
So,
One thing was really fascinating to me, and I won't ask you to get too far into the weeds on the air, but we were talking about, I remember many years ago when I wrote about sex offenders on social media, like in 2012 or something.
Right.
And it was illegal.
Yes, sir.
Then for the sex offenders to be on social media. But then I found out from you when last time you were here, but that's no longer the case, right?
no, they're allowed to be on it. The U.S. Supreme Court shut that down and said they're allowed to be on social media. The rules are, if they're on social media, they have to give the sheriff's office that they live in their screen name. Not their passwords, but only their screen names. So we can at least know what screen name they're using on the internet.
Wow. But I mean, you could have.
You can have a profile on Facebook,
Yeah,
Twitter, Instagram,
Wow.
any of it, as long as you give the sheriff's office your name.
Which is, I mean, you know, I mean, we've all seen Catch a Predator and all that stuff. I mean, we know social media is a place where sex offenders go to prowl.
Right.
You know, for lack of a better word. So anyway, we're going to do this whenever you're going to come on, folks. He's committed, or his Lieutenant Muse has committed you to being on the show once a month. So when we have updates or we have murders to talk about, obviously we'll do that.
Yes, sir.
But then when you need to talk about these sex offenders or you know anything else, this is your 15 minutes here that I'm giving the sheriff's office.
And we appreciate it.
To absolutely because I mean you know General Bray, who's he's the in charge of Team Cold Case.
Yes, sir.
I remember he's a busy man, right? And I remember I asked him, you know, sir, you've got so much going on. Why take on this responsibility? You know, why take on one more responsibility in that you already doing all these things? And he said, because if you can do it, you should. So that's where I'm at with these sex offenders, is that this show is about unsolved murders, but I would be remiss to not take this opportunity with the folks that are watching. And then the show, you know, it's in 19 counties. It's streamed live. It's shown 3 different times on TV throughout the week, and then we put it on YouTube as
Yes,
well.
sir.
So I mean, there's a wide audience that if we can get these pictures out and these names out, and who knows? I mean, maybe some of these guys will come in on their own
Right.
after they hear about it. You know, whatever we can do to get.
Yes, sir.
The important thing is to get them. Do you know offhand how many sex offenders there are in Edgecombe County?
225.
And you're responsible for all of those?
Yes, sir.
That's a job right there, brother.
Yes, sir.
Do you send out those letters? Is
The state sends it out. The
state
state sends them out. They get the letters every 6 months, so twice a year they're getting them. And then you have aggravated and recidivist offenders who have committed the crimes before, or they're an aggravated offense. They get their letters every 3 months. So they have to verify their address every 3 months with the
Now, I noticed like with Mr. Cook, and I've seen it with a lot of other folks, he committed his crime in New Hampshire.
Yes, sir.
But he'd come here, so then I guess what I'm saying is, as a sex offender, you can, through the proper channels, you can move somewhere.
Yes, but you have to register in that state. And if you do not register in that state, you've actually committed a federal offense, which is the Adam Walsh Act, by crossing state lines and not notifying the state you're moving to that you're a sex offender.
Wow. Wow. That's a sad, that Adam Walsh story is a sad story.
Right.
Good grief. All right, so I'll ask you one day if you think it was Otis O'Toole that killed that kid like everybody thinks. I don't know. I don't know about that. They say it was, but we'll I don't know. Anyway, I appreciate you being on.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I like that, you know, Lieutenant Seifman comes on every month, every third Thursday. That's a little bit of less headache for me because he knows what he's doing.
Right.
So I just, you know, I afford him the time and we talk about a different case. You know, so with you it's the same thing, is that I know you're going to be here the second Thursday of every month.
Yes, sir.
So I don't have, there's 15 minutes of programming that I don't have to worry about.
Right.
And that's a good thing. So, folks, if you know anything about these three gentlemen, give us a call or give the Edgecombe County Sheriff's Office a call. And we can. What is a number? A good number they can call you at, or call, you know, to
641-7911. That is the main sheriff's office number.
Okay.
If you call that number, you can ask to speak to me, and they'll send you to my voicemail, or I'll answer if I'm in the office.
252?
252-641-7911.
All right. Sergeant, I really appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. Thank you. We'll be back in a minute, folks.
If you recently lost your job and your health coverage due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and you think you may be eligible for Medicare, you probably have more questions than answers right now. Statewide Insurers Group, All Things Medicare, can help you with that. We can provide the guidance and the answers that you need to get the benefits you may be eligible for. Don't let this time of uncertainty jeopardize your eligibility for your Medicare benefits. Remember, relationships matter. Call Statewide Insurers Group today for the answers that you need now. 316-8166.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.
Hey, Fred, I knew a guy from Zapata, Texas when I was in the Navy.
So I haven't even heard of that until Fred.
Yeah.
Never even knew that
I knew
until Fred.
he talked about it. He wouldn't shut up about his hometown.
Huh.
Okay, so
you talked about
interrupted
sex
you. I'm
offenders.
sorry about that.
No, you talked about sex offenders. You know, we did this years ago. We made a concerted effort to get Edgecombe, Nash, Wilson folks, and just put them up there, sex offenders. And people called us like bees. You know, several of them said, they live 2 doors down from me. Oh my gosh, they didn't know it.
You're right.
You have a right to know if someone's in your neighborhood.
Right.
So,
Folks they can go on the database
you can.
and type in your address and see how many live within.
That's exactly right. You sure can, and you need to check that out,
You need to know
folks.
if you got school school-age kids. You need
Yeah.
to know where these folks are.
They're getting off that bus and they're roaming around the yard and the neighborhood and all that. Oh, yes. So what I think we might do is on this show, Linda, let's periodically show some in groups of maybe 10 this time, 10 this time, you know, when we have kind of a lull. Let's show some of those. People really like that because it's just very interesting.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's, you talk about a service to the community.
Oh,
That
absolutely.
is certainly a service
Absolutely.
to the community.
And we'll do that on this program. I think
Sure.
it's important. Okay, what you got?
All right, so you know, I'm slowly building toward my unidentified project.
Yes.
Right, and folks, if you don't know, who's calling? We got 2 callers.
Okay.
Let's take a call.
We'll let you take a call.
I don't know how to do it, so you do it.
Good morning.
Good morning, General. How are you?
Hello? Microphone muted. It shouldn't be. Hello?
Hey, good morning, Sandra. What are you doing back up on the stage?
Well, I tell you, I just go back and forth and back. Whatever Linda tells me to do is what I do.
I don't know about that.
Hey, I think you guys will be on break right about now, but I just wanted to tell Linda that's the show that he was doing this morning was a great case of rule of law. Great opportunity for the community to get involved. At the same time, just remind people, you know, that even though a person that's a pedophile has been punished in terms of the law, part of their punishment extends to the concern about children, because
Right.
people who abuse children, it is generally associated with a mental something, and there's a proclivity to want to be with, embrace children. So it makes them a little more of a constant, at the very least, harassment to a child.
Yes.
Right.
I've always said there's a special place and you know where for people that do that to kids.
And I'm going to be really careful how I say this, because the reason why they even let go, even let go, is because the range of what counts as a sexual offense can be so wide. There's a young man I know that was at University of Georgia. He was 18. He had sex with a 17-year-old. They were both at University of Georgia, but guess what? Because he was 18, she was 17.
Right, right.
It was counted, so he fell in that category. So I'm never ever going to blanket anything, okay?
Yes.
But except the fact that that's the concern that the law has, is that person has this desire in general, and because of that, you know, because laws are made like they are, they're generally specific in the punishment to who it is, but the law still covers it a certain way. So I accept it. And in this case, we're trying to find people who are violating the law by not reporting.
Right.
This young man has been going back to the courts to get it expunged from his records, because the law was the law, but at the same time, I don't think they ever really intended for it to be a one-year difference like college, because you and I both know, I think we all know that's a stretch. The law wasn't intended for that, but the people who disappear, that's where they're trying to dodge their responsibilities. They're ignoring what is happening inside their mind and putting others in danger because they're violating. So that's a different reach. And the people can get involved by saying, I've seen this guy.
Exactly.
And he can go ahead and bring himself back to us. So I thought it was extremely apropos, but at the same time, I'm always trying to look to make sure that, one, we don't have blind spots in who we are as a society either.
Well,
And,
I had a law enforcement officer tell me that dealt with this probably 2 or 3 years ago. Had a law enforcement officer said it would be scary if you knew how many children and families were,
Abused.
you know, with stepfathers and things like that, boyfriends coming in, things like that, that were molested and put up with it for years and years. He said you wouldn't even sleep at night if you knew how many it was. I said, golly, Dave.
It's not. And truth of the matter is, it's not scary, only because unfortunately, one of the jobs that as a commander you pick up is that you become a summary court judge. And as a summary court judge, even with folks who are as honorable as military members, that is something that comes in front of you a lot.
Yes.
Because you start to see people where they are. As a matter of fact, more often than not, children are abused not by strangers,
Right.
but by someone who knows
exactly
them.
right.
Absolutely.
And Sandra, I'm going to put a little pressure here on you, but as a woman, you know how inquisitive people try to sometimes be, and you understand this, and that's why I personally have told my son and everybody else that after a child gets at the 3-year-old, you've got to start thinking differently to protect both her and yourself.
Right.
Because young women are most vulnerable, and I will tell you right now, I would come out of character if someone were to offend my grandbaby.
Sure you would.
Yeah, I mean, I just going to tell you right now, and I'll leave it there.
What a wonderful way to put that, come out of character. Absolutely.
Yes.
You know what that'll mean.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I'll leave it there. So, anyhow, all that said, a great show, great comments. I'll see you guys this afternoon.
Yes.
And I think we're going to have Wilson join us today. So, life's good.
Fantastic.
Okay, very good.
Appreciate it, General.
Thank you, General. Bye-bye.
Be blessed. And, hey, by the way, thanks for the shout-out, Lendl.
Yeah, absolutely. You, I'm serious. I was impressed with your answer. If you can do something, you should do it.
Mm-hmm.
If we all followed that, what a much more wonderful place we would live in.
Exactly. That's right. Thank you, General.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Godspeed, folks. Thanks.
He mentioned this afternoon, folks, we are Team Cold Case, which is the umbrella that sits over the top of this show and fighting crime and other efforts.
Yes.
We meet on a monthly basis. We'll be meeting
do.
this afternoon.
That's right. We will.
One other thing about that, the General brought up a good point about the person that he knows that had to register as a sex offender because it's basically statutory rape situation is what we're talking about. But sex offenders run the gamut too. There's not just those that probably shouldn't have been registered because of archaic laws, but not all of them are pedophiles either. Rapists are also on the sex registry. So not all of these guys. I don't want to. Not all of these guys
Then
are.
you've got the cases, Lendl, that there was consent.
Right. Well, I mean, that's
the poor guy. Now I've seen these cases, and I had passion for the guy because I'm thinking, poor guy. You know what?
Yeah.
Girl,
well, I mean, like
you knew what you were doing, and you knew how many times. If you watch these stupid, and I say stupid, I shouldn't use that word, but these judge shows on television that are,
yes, I do
done for TV,
I do not.
But if you watch them, you see that the judge finally gets out of the girl. How many times have you been to his house? She'll say 5. Oh, you went over there 5 times, and then the 6th time you call it rape.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Okay, Sandra, let's not blame the
Well,
victim.
that's
so anyway, just like in life, right? You have the spectrum of maybe shouldn't have been on the registry and they're working to get their way off.
Yes.
Child sex molesters who should be on the registry for the rest of their life and should be nowhere near children until they die.
That's right.
And then you've got rapists and people who have raped adults, adult women, so they're on there as well. So not everybody that's on this list is is a pedophile.
But
they're
I
on
don't
the
think
list.
they follow that rule too good about you living close to a school. Can't live close to a school because too many of them we found.
Really?
2 or 3 of them were doing that,
Well,
and we notified when we were
Maybe
doing
we can
this
help.
before.
Maybe we can help then.
Yes.
All right, so unidentified. Where are we at? Unidentified bodies. We're almost out of time. I will. The third segment of this show pretty soon. As soon I'm still working out the kinks with the newspaper because I
Right.
want everybody to be on the same page when this happens.
Right.
We're going to start featuring. There's 127 unidentified bodies in North Carolina.
Wow.
A lot of them have never been publicized. They've never had any real media attention on them. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to shine a light on them as much as possible. I posted about this on the Facebook page. Folks, if you're not on there, you just search K-Files on Facebook, and hopefully you'll come to me. I had a lady contact me from Carolina Beach, which is down there in New Hanover County by Wilmington, and she said, "Hey, my brother went missing in 1999. Can you see if he's one of the people on the list?" Right? Well, he was not. I didn't think
Okay.
he would be because if he was, he would have. The police would have already sorted that stuff out. 'Cause, I
Right.
mean, you know, they're detectives that are working on this
Right.
stuff full time, much better at it than I am.
Right.
But I just figured that that I would provide his information, you know, because like I said earlier, we are on the internet worldwide through the website and on YouTube.
We are.
So anyway, to run this down really quickly, Richard Barelli, he's a white male. He was last seen April 9th, 1999 in Carolina Beach, North Carolina, okay? He was 49 years old. You know, Mr. Jenkins was 48, so we're kind of in the same age range there.
That's right.
He spent the day with his mother, right? And then apparently he was upset that he had to go back to the nursing home. And from the information that I've seen in several different places, he never made it back to the nursing home. So we don't know if he just struck out on his own. You know, we don't know what happened.
You know, it's so, and I say this repetitively, it is so weird. These people just drop off the face of the
They
earth.
do. They absolutely do. Okay, so I talked to his sister in the last few days, and she said that it was Nelson's nursing home in Carolina Beach that he was supposed to be going to. Or actually, I don't know if the nursing home was in Wilmington or Carolina Beach. He was in Carolina Beach. He's supposed to be going to the nursing home. He never made it, right? So he went missing during the Azalea Festival. Now,
Oh, Lord.
I used to live in the Wilmington area for 10
That was
years.
a big festival.
Exactly. I mean, especially back in
Golly.
'99, it would have been
Oh,
huge.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
I went for
No
about
telling.
4 or 5 years straight in the early 2000s. I mean, we're talking tens of thousands of people in downtown
Oh,
Wilmington.
yeah.
So,
Absolutely. I've been.
you know, I can see it would have been a really confusing weekend for everybody. You know, so a lot going on.
Right.
So that's when he disappeared. So the Carolina Beach Police Department has his DNA, and so if they ever find a body, they're out of the 127 bodies in North Carolina right now, none of them match. You know, but of course, political boundaries are just lines on the map. I mean, his body could be in South Carolina.
Right.
Could have washed up on the beach in Virginia. I mean, you know, that's the thing. There's a lot of, we'll be getting into these cases, there's a lot of bones found along North Carolina shore from folks that could have come from England for all we know. You know,
Right.
so just because he's not one of the 120 bodies in North Carolina doesn't mean that he ain't one in Georgia,
Right.
South Carolina. So the police do have the DNA, and we are working toward a much better database for DNA, to where a lot of these old bodies that have been found years ago
Yes.
can finally get matched up with missing people.
Wow.
So
That'd
that's
be
yeah. I mean,
interesting.
in the next, I'd say in the next 5 years, you're going to see a lot of matchups between missing people and these unidentified bodies, because they're getting the DNA. It's becoming less expensive. Brittany, did we ever put that gentleman's picture up? I know we were yakking a lot about everything else. You did put it up? Okay, there, thank you. There he is. That's Mr. Barelli, was missing in Wilmington area of Carolina Beach in 1999. If you know anything, give us a call at the hotline, and we'll try to help out with that. But again, throw up that logo, Brittany. I'll be bugging you. That's the logo that my son worked on. We'll be using that, you know, wherever I talk about this stuff, whether it's in the newspaper or online or on the show.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah,
Where'd you get that from?
He's a graphics designer in Chicago.
Wow.
He actually has, during the pandemic.
That was really good.
Well, he's really good. He was working for a company that did all the Taco Bell logos or whatever. Wow. He got laid off because of the pandemic.
Right.
And he took it, instead of getting beat down, he took it as an opportunity to do what he wanted to do. And so now he draws pictures and sells them. He's going to Etsy. Brittany, you're young. Is that the name of that?
Yeah, Etsy.
Yeah. You don't act like you know what we're talking about.
Listen, I know Etsy.
All
I'm
right,
sorry,
so
you're the old one.
He's doing good. My kids make fun of me all the time. Oh, speaking of which, I showed them last week's episode about the trains, and I thought they would, you know.
Oh, yeah.
All they talked about was how our table is reflective. And so you can see the green screen on our table. And, you know, my kids are brutal, man.
Right.
I can't. Boy, there's something else. And then my son starts talking about this is a different son. He starts talking about the HD quality of the something in the pixels of the something. You know, I mean, like I want him to look at Dad and see how cool he is. But no, they got to talk about that.
Oh, yeah,
anyway,
absolutely.
Folks, if you know about Mr. Barelli, please give the hotline a call or contact the Carolina Beach Police phone number is 910. I got to read slow because of my, I don't even know what it's called anymore.
Dyslexia.
Yes, 910-458-2537.
And there is money in it for you.
Yes,
if
absolutely.
you call, there's money in it. Our purse is up to $15,000.
Lieutenant Seifman is set to be here next week.
Yeah.
He always brings good stuff.
He does.
And then the following week, I teased this last week, but then all these things happened. But the following week is going to be Bad Guy Day. We've talked a lot about missing people, unidentified bodies, unsolved murders. In 2 weeks, we're going to talk about the guys who did all these crimes, right? We've got
we need to talk about.
We've got a couple serial killers that we haven't talked about a lot.
Oh gosh.
One of them they called the teddy bear killer. He was not. That was a nickname, but he certainly was not a teddy bear. But we're going. So Bad Guy Day, Villains Day, Rogues Gallery. I'm gonna explain what a Rogues Gallery is in 2 weeks.
Okay. Gotta go, folks. Thank you for watching the K-Files.
See you later.
Make it a great day.
If you recently lost your job and your health coverage due to the COVID-19 pandemic and you think you may be eligible for Medicare, you probably have more questions than answers right now. Statewide Insurers Group, All Things Medicare, can help you with that. We can provide the guidance and the answers that you need to get the benefits you may be eligible for. Don't let this time of uncertainty jeopardize your eligibility for your Medicare benefits. Remember, relationships matter. Call Statewide Insurers Group today for the answers that you need now. 316-8166.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.